Google's history with the tablet form factor is a very long and winding tale, and if current headlines are to be believed, things are about to get very interesting again. And I've kind of put this together on a Twitter thread, so bear with me as I do reference this, because there is a job listing for a senior engineer manager Android tablet app experience posted by Google with the following blurb in its description. It says, quote, "We believe that the future of computing is shifting towards more powerful and capable tablets. We are working to deliver the next chapter of computing and input by launching seamless support across our platforms and hero experiences that unlock new and better ways of being productive and creative." And the important bit there in particular, we believe that the future of computing is shifting towards tablets. Now, this is from Google themselves, okay? This is very important. Now, we factor in that Rich Miner, who is one of the original co-founders of Android itself, is now back on board as the CTO of Android tablets. And it seems as though Google is becoming serious about Android tablets again. If we rewind the clock, you remember all of the Nexus tablets that Google put out, because they started focusing on these sort of small tablets. They were almost like a big phone. And if you go back as well, back to like 2011, you might remember something called Android 3.0 Honeycomb, which was supposed to be Android designed to work better on larger screen tablets. And you can see a few weird things here, like almost a taskbar down there. Look at that clock. Look at the way that this thing is supposed to work on a larger screen. And of course, Honeycomb was very much a mixed bag. It was not super duper well received. The animations were laggy and slow, and it just did not run all that well. But Google did have this focus on tablets early on between Honeycomb and the Nexus tablets, and then they ended their tablet run in terms of Android with the Pixel C, which was quite a premium device, which I think was reviewed a bit better, had an interesting, unique design, and it looked as though Google was primed and ready to start really attacking the Android tablet world. As the software had gotten a little bit better, the hardware was improving. This looked to be a commitment to Android tablets, but that would not be the case, because the next bit of hardware that Google did put out was called the Pixel Slate, and this is effectively what happens if Google makes a Surface Pro device that runs Chrome OS. And it seemed as though at this point, Google had actually abandoned the idea of Android on large screen devices, and were now thinking that Chrome OS was the way forward. And look, I could definitely forgive them for thinking this, because on this device, you have a full desktop environment, right? When you launch Chrome, it's desktop Chrome. It just works better on a large screen than Android did. Android was not meant to ever be on a device this large. It's been retrofitted to work, but it wasn't the intended purpose, whereas Chrome OS was built for larger screens. And then you add in the fact that Android apps were now compatible with Chrome OS, and it looked to me rather obvious that this was where Android tablets were going to go, at least in terms of what Google was thinking at that moment. But now a monkey wrench has been thrown into that plan, and that monkey wrench comes in the form of something like this, a Z Fold, a folding OLED device, because what you have now is a small phone device that does run Android, but then opens up into a tablet. And Android's deficiencies in terms of a tablet interface are made perfectly bare in this sort of device. I think it's been relatively clear to everyone paying attention that the market has shown distinct interest in these folding OLED devices. Samsung is selling more and more of them each year, and that increase in sales year over year, product over product, is increasing nearly exponentially. The Z Fold 3 and Z Flip 3 have both done extremely well. And the fact of the matter is that the Z Fold line, the software on those devices, had to be customized by Samsung in a radical way to make it work really at all. And this is work Samsung has been doing on their tablets in general for many years now, because of the blatant deficiencies of Android on large displays. due, I think, in part to the fact that Google might have thought Chrome OS was their large screen answer. But just as clear as it is to me that these folding OLED devices are only going to continue growing in popularity, it is equally clear to me that you cannot put Chrome OS on a Z Fold device. I mean, maybe there's some magical world where when it's here, it's Android, and when it opens up, it switches to a desktop environment. I mean, look, they could run DeX on this if they wanted to, but that's not really good enough either, because this is kind of a tweener, right? It's not big enough to be a full desktop environment like DeX, but it's too big to just be standard normal Android. So you have to slap stuff on top of it to make it work well. And frankly, it works pretty well, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. So we find ourselves in this world where Google kind of forked off this way with Chrome, but a brand new product sector of folding, pocketable tablets have now made Google have to stop and rethink things in terms of their software approach. Chrome OS can't be their big screen answer because pretty big screens are now in people's pockets, and Chrome OS just isn't a good fit there, because not just the fact that it's in their pocket and it's a relatively big screen without being a massive screen, it changes sizes. It goes between normal screen and big screen. So again, Chrome OS can't be your answer there. You have to now begin to customize Android, and that's what Samsung, like I said, and other companies have been doing for a while. At this point, enter Android 12L. I've talked about this ad nauseum already, but we're going to touch it a couple more times here. So Android 12L is exactly what I'm talking about. Google has recognized that their software is not good enough for these large screen devices, be it Z Fold or be it Surface Duo, which is effectively one large screen. I know that that's not what you see, but that's what Android sees. Android sees one large screen. So Google is making a version of Android which will do things like have dual pane apps, dual pane status or notification shade, I should say. So instead of pulling this thing down and getting one skinny notification shade that doesn't take up the fact, doesn't really use the fact that you have a large screen, well, now it's going to actually be intelligent about that. It's going to actually use your whole screen. What about having a situation where you have a full taskbar on the bottom? This is something Samsung users may be familiar with, but the ability to drag apps up onto the screen to split screen them. Google has recognized that these are things that they're going to have to build now. And while I can't really demo Android 12L for you on a larger screen because I just don't have that available to me, I don't have the only tablet you can get it on is a Lenovo tablet, I can kind of show you what I mean on the Samsung devices. I can show you some of these deficiencies and then how Samsung has fixed them. And you're going to see parallels to that in what Google releases in AOSP stock generic Android very, very soon. So when you look at a relatively large but not massive Android device, the first thing you're just going to notice is, I mean, look, it's just normal Android, but it's stretched out over a larger screen. But on this screen, I think it still works. I think it still looks okay. If you pull down your notification shade, though, what do you see? You see a lot of just stretched out width with a lot of empty space here, right? Like there's just empty space. There's nothing there. And you can see, obviously, what Google is thinking when you look at something like this. That's what they're looking to address with Android 12L. Look at apps like Instagram that just really don't work well. I mean, I've literally got it letterboxed to make it fit correctly. If this app filled up the whole screen like it would on a normal Android tablet, it would be effectively unusable. This is something that's coming with Android 12L as well. Now, what about that taskbar feature? Let's talk about the fact that you've got the potential for some incredibly good features here, and Google just hasn't added them. Well, Samsung did it themselves, because here you can launch Twitter, and then you can pull out your little taskbar here, which is actually able to be pinned in place permanently, which is something that I love. And then you could simply drag YouTube into place anywhere you want it. And guys, this is going to be the exact same implementation as what you're going to see on 12L. The difference is instead of being here, it's going to be down here. But other than that, the implementation is almost identical. But when you move from a big screen to a huge screen, these problems become so much worse. Look at all the dead space now. I mean, this thing's only taking up this much space. All of this could be being used But instead, it's just blurred out because Android doesn't know what to do with this. If you launch Instagram here, it forces you to rotate because it has no idea what to do with an app like Instagram. Then you got to rotate back around. Obviously, the taskbar is still here, and it might even be more at home on a device like this where you can have so much screen real estate to do so much. Well, this is something Samsung had to build themselves. And then if you really want to go wild with a device like this, you can launch Samsung DeX, which is something that I don't think enough people sing the praises of. And as this launches, you'll see exactly what I mean, because DeX is a full desktop environment for an Android device like this Samsung device. You'll see here, there is Twitter, and it is in a window that is resizable. Let me see if I can get a hold of it to shrink it vertically. It is fully resizable. You can move it around. You can move it to one side and pin it like that, just like you would on Windows. I mean, that is almost identical. They've even gone as far as to build an app launcher or app drawer that looks extremely similar to what we have on Chrome OS, because what Samsung has done here is effectively pull off what I jokingly mentioned earlier when I said what we needed was Android here and then Chrome OS here, something that would take advantage of the small screen, which Android does great, and then something that would take advantage of the bigger screen, which Android doesn't do so great. Well, what Samsung decided to do was on their tablet give you the option to use something that basically does what Chrome OS does. It gives you a full desktop environment to work in, where you have all of the advantages, not all of them, but most of the advantages of Chrome OS. Now, all of this is not to just talk about how great Samsung is, because while I do think they do a great job and they've got an absolute ton of software developers there to do the things I'm talking about, this more has to do with Google's massive shortcomings. The fact that this has been a clear need for a long, long time. 2011 is when they took their first really bad crack at tablet OS for Android, or tablet customizations for Android. It's been going on a long time, and it seems as though they are finally taking this seriously, because we have also rumors, as you've heard me talk about, of a Google Notepad folding OLED device, as well as patents for a new Google Pixel tablet, which Let's Go Digital has made some renders of based on the patents that have been seen. It seems as though Google has finally realized that their attention that's been spent on Chrome OS, and look, it's valid because Chromebooks have sold really well. They've done great for them, in particular in schools and things like that. But that attention has done nothing for the phones. And when this new product segment has arrived, because look, I think this is fully what it is. It's got nothing to do with companies like Samsung making good Android tablets, and it has everything to do with Samsung making good foldable Android tablets. When this thing emerged, I feel like Google kind of realized they've been caught with their pants down, and there is now hardware available for which their software does a piss poor job of supporting. So now Google is in a uniquely weird position. You know, Google likes to try and solve one problem 87 different ways, and then 86 of them die and they stick with the one. Well, they're kind of in that position again, but in a different way, where now we have to solve for how does Google software work well on a big screen? And they thought they'd solved it with Chrome OS, but now they have to solve it again for pocketable, foldable tablet screens. How they didn't see this coming, I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe I'm out of my mind. But it seems to me as though they now have sort of diverted their attention into two different solutions for the same problem, serving two different customer bases. And that's not a great place to be. It's better to have one OS that is ubiquitous, that can scale and serve everyone. But instead, they don't have that, and that's their fault. And that's obviously true because Android 12L does exactly that. That's the point, is that when it's on a Pixel 5, like mine that's laying around over there somewhere, it's running the 12L beta, and it looks like Android 12. There's a couple of changes, but not really. It's only when it's on a device of a certain size that these dual pane features become enabled. It scales. That's point. Scaling, ubiquity, It's wonderful. But how much cooler would it have been if way back when Honeycomb was a thing, if Google had have had the foresight to make a version of Android that would be one thing on a phone, when it detected it was on a larger screen, scale to something like what we see on the Z Fold with a taskbar, better split screen, things like that. And then when it sees that it's on an even bigger screen, give us a desktop environment like on Chrome OS, like what Samsung has done here with DeX. That would have been the ultimate scalable operating system, and Google could have made it. And sadly, they've watched as Samsung has taken their OS and effectively done exactly what I'm saying, and now they're playing catch up on their own operating system. A little bit embarrassing, a little bit disappointing. Google's track record in these areas continues to be shaky. Rest assured, we'll be watching very closely. Guys, thanks for making it to the end of this little editorial video. I do greatly appreciate that effort. Thanks for hitting that like button as well. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friend.